The rhinoceros, one of the big five. His life, survival, and coexistence. Welcome to Vivo Treks TV. Before we begin today's journey into the world of one of Africa's most iconic giants, make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment to support our growing wildlife community. Today we explore the extraordinary story of the rhinoceros, a creature older than the Ice Age, tougher than armor, yet fragile in the modern world. The rhino is one of the legendary Big Five, not just because of its power, but because of its incredible legacy, its role in nature, and its ongoing fight for survival. From their ancient origins, to their complex behavior, to their conflict with humans, this documentary will take you deep into the life of the rhinoceros. Prepare for an unforgettable journey. Let's begin. Origins of a titan. Long before humans built civilizations, before lions ruled the plains, and even before elephants roamed the forests, there were rhinoceroses. The story of the rhino begins over 55 million years ago, during a time when Earth's climate was warmer, wetter, and full of evolving mammal life. The earliest ancestors of modern rhinos bore little resemblance to today's armored giants. Some looked like small tapirs, others grew into hornless titans the size of houses. One ancient relative, Paraceratherium, stood over 6 meters tall at the shoulder and remains the largest land mammal to ever exist. As continents shifted and climates transformed, rhinoceroses adapted, developing thicker skin, powerful jaws, and in some lineages, the iconic keratin horn. These adaptations helped them dig, defend, browse, and navigate harsh ecosystems. Fast forward to recent history. Just a few centuries ago, millions of rhinos roamed Africa and Asia. They shaped landscapes, supported biodiversity, and coexisted with predators and indigenous peoples. Their presence was not unusual. It was natural. But today the story is different. Across Africa and Asia, rhinos now exist in fragmented parks and reserves. Fossils tell us what they once were. Modern conservation tells us what they fight to remain. To understand who the rhino is today, we must first understand where it came from. An ancient lineage built on survival, strength, and adaptation. The 5 living species. Today, only 5 species of rhinoceros remain on Earth, each with unique biology and challenges. In Africa, we meet the white rhinoceros. Despite its name, not white at all, but a grassy gray titan. The name comes from the Dutch word wid, meaning wide, referring to its broad square lip, a specialized tool for grazing the open savannas. Nearby lives its more secretive cousin, the black rhinoceros. Smaller in size but more agile in behavior, the black rhino has a hooked upper lip, designed to browse leaves and shrubs. While the white rhino thrives in open plains, the black rhino prefers dense thickets and woodlands, where it can disappear like a shadow. Across the Indian subcontinent settles the Indian rhinoceros, also known as the greater one-horned rhino, covered in thick plates of folded skin resembling medieval armor. This species thrives in riverine grasslands, marshes, and alluvial plains. The last 2 species cling to survival in Southeast Asia. The Javan rhino, once widespread, now survives almost entirely within a single Indonesian national park. And the Sumatran rhino, the smallest and hairiest member of the family, roams dense tropical rainforest, rarely seen and rarely heard. Though separated by geography, these species share critical roles. They maintain ecosystems, shape vegetation, and support countless other forms of life. Without them, landscapes would change, and biodiversity would suffer. 5 species remain. 5 chances for survival. 5 reminders that nature's giants can disappear unless we fight for their future. Physical anatomy and adaptations. At first glance, a rhinoceros looks like a relic of the dinosaurs. Thick skin, massive body, and the unmistakable horn. But each part of its anatomy tells a story of survival. The horn, made of keratin, the same material as human hair and nails, grows continuously and can regenerate if broken. Contrary to myth, it holds no magical or medicinal properties. Yet this horn has become both the rhino's symbol and its greatest curse. Their skin can measure up to 5 centimeters thick, with collagen layers arranged like armor. This protects them from thorny vegetation and predator bites, while deep folds in Indian rhinos help regulate heat in tropical climates. A rhino's sense of smell is exceptional. Their nasal cavities are among the largest in the animal kingdom, compensating for their relatively poor eyesight. They may not see a motionless object 30 meters away, but they can detect a human or predator by scent at remarkable distances. Their ears rotate independently, scanning for sounds. A defense system critical in dense vegetation. Despite their size, rhinos can reach speeds of 50 kilometers per hour, using powerful hindquarters for explosive bursts of energy. The mouth structure reveals diet. White rhinos have square lips for grazing. Black rhinos have hooked lips for browsing. Indian rhinos have prehensile lips for stripping vegetation. Each adaptation is refined, efficient, ancient. Proof that rhinos are not primitive, but perfectly engineered survivors. Social behavior and communication. Rhinos are often imagined as solitary and silent, but in truth they possess a surprisingly rich social world, full of subtle interaction, communication, and emotion. White rhinos are the most social, forming loose groups called crashes, especially around water sources. Black rhinos, by contrast, are more solitary, coming together mainly for mating or territorial disputes. Asian species vary. The Indian rhino tolerates neighbors in rich feeding areas. Javan and Sumatran tend to be elusive and solitary. Communication occurs through sound, snorts, grunts, bellows, squeaks, and through scent. Rhinos create communal dung piles known as middens, which act as olfactory bulletin boards. By smelling them, a rhino learns who passed by, its age, sex, and reproductive status. Territory is marked with urine spraying and hoof scraping, broadcasting ownership to rivals. Bulls may engage in horn clashing, pushing matches, or displays to resolve conflicts, often without lethal intent. At the heart of rhino society lies the bond between mother and calf. Calves remain with their mothers for up to 3 years, learning feeding paths, danger cues, and territorial boundaries. These bonds reveal vulnerability and tenderness rarely portrayed in popular imagery. Rhinos are not emotionless tanks. They are complex mammals with instincts, social needs, and structured behaviors that help them survive in dynamic ecosystems. Diet and daily life. The daily life of a rhinoceros is shaped by rhythm, temperature, and survival. Rhinos spend most of their day feeding, consuming up to 50 kilograms of vegetation per day in some species. White rhinos graze short grasses across the plains like living lawnmowers, while black rhinos browse shrubs and trees, often shaping plant growth through selective feeding. In Asia, Indian and Sumatran rhinos feed on tall grasses, fruit, leaves, and shoots, contributing to seed dispersal. To cope with heat, rhinos rest during the hottest hours, becoming more active during morning and late afternoon. Mud wallowing is essential. It cools the body, protects against insects, and shields sensitive skin. After wallowing, dried mud forms a natural armor layer. Waterholes become social hubs, places to drink, cool, and scent mark. At night, rhinos often travel longest distances, taking advantage of cooler temperatures and lower predator movement. Their daily patterns influence countless other species. Insects follow wallows, birds feed on parasites, and ungulates use rhino paths through dense bush. In many ways, rhinos structure the landscape not just by size, but by their habits. Life cycle and reproduction. A rhino's life cycle is slow, precious, and vulnerable. Females reach sexual maturity around 6 to 7 years. Males often later due to competition. Courtship involves scent tracking, vocalizations, and sometimes aggressive standoffs. Gestation lasts 15 to 16 months, one of the longest of any land mammal. When the calf is born, it weighs between 40 and 65 kilograms, yet it lacks the horn that will later define its identity. The horn grows with age, strengthening as keratin layers accumulate. The mother nurses and protects her calf fiercely, teaching behaviors necessary for survival. Weaning may take over a year, but companionship continues until the female is ready to calve again. Because reproduction is slow, populations recover painfully slowly from losses. A single poached rhino represents years of biological investment. years that cannot be replaced quickly. The life cycle of a rhino is a delicate balance, one that modern threats have pushed to the brink. Natural enemies and survival challenges. In the wild, an adult rhinoceros has few natural predators. Lions may test a weakened individual, and crocodiles may threaten animals drinking at riverbanks. But healthy adults are generally left alone. However, calves are vulnerable. Lions, hyenas, leopards, and wild dogs may attempt to prey on young rhinos, especially during night hours. Body language plays a critical role in defensive behavior. Head lowered, horn forward, ears rotating, and sudden charges meant to intimidate rather than kill. Yet the greatest natural threat rhinos face is not predation. It is environmental change. Droughts, shrinking water sources, habitat fragmentation, and competition with livestock alter feeding and breeding conditions. Even without human pressure, rhinos must navigate ecological challenges that test their endurance. But with human pressure, those challenges multiply dramatically. Human conflict and poaching. No threat in the history of rhinos has been as devastating as human activity. Habitat loss from agriculture and settlement has squeezed rhino populations into isolated pockets. But the deadliest threat is poaching, driven by black market demand for rhino horn. Despite being nothing more than keratin, horn has been falsely marketed as medicine, status symbol, and carving material. Myths and misinformation drive prices to staggering highs, turning rhinos into targets for organized criminal syndicates. Poaching has removed tens of thousands of rhinos from the wild within decades. Some populations collapsed entirely. Others survive only because of armed rangers, drones, canine tracking units, and relocation efforts. The conflict is violent, expensive, and tragic. Not only for rhinos, but for rangers who risk their lives daily. This is the defining battle for the species today. A battle between greed and conservation, between extinction and survival. Conservation efforts and success stories. Despite the odds, there is hope. Across Africa and Asia, governments, NGOs, scientists, and communities have united to protect rhinos. Anti-poaching units use technology. Drones, thermal imaging, radio networks. While communities receive incentives to protect wildlife through tourism and conservation employment. In India, the greater one-horned rhino has rebounded from fewer than 200 individuals to over 3,000 today, a conservation miracle. In southern Africa, strict protection and responsible tourism have created some of the last strongholds for white rhinos. Breeding programs, genetic research, and even advanced techniques like IVF and stem cell science are being explored to save the Sumatran and northern white rhino. Conservation proves one powerful truth. When humans choose to protect instead of destroy, nature responds. Coexistence in the future. The future of the rhinoceros depends on coexistence, a balance between human development and ecological preservation. Rhinos do not need untouched wilderness. They need safe, connected habitats, protected corridors, and sustainable community engagement. Ecotourism generates revenue that motivates governments and local people to protect wildlife. Education replaces myths with facts. Policy reduces illegal trade. Innovation aids rangers in the field. If these systems endure, rhinos can thrive, not just in parks and reserves, but as integrated symbols of living biodiversity. The story of the rhino is not finished. It is being written now. In ranger stations, in research labs, in classrooms, and in communities worldwide. What happens next depends on us. For millions of years, rhinoceroses have shaped ecosystems, survived predators, and endured natural disasters. Today, they face a new challenge. Us, yet with awareness, protection, and coexistence, so that their story can continue. Thank you for watching this documentary on Vivo Trex TV. If you care about wildlife, if you believe in conservation, and if you want more stories like this one, make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment below. Your engagement helps us grow and helps keep the voice of wildlife alive. Until next time, keep exploring and keep protecting our planet.